Hello and welcome everyone to episode 46 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. Although this week, once again, we're taking a short break from the manga to talk about the second One Piece movie, Clockwork Island Adventure. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. Of course, I'm the English letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8 and many, many more. And excited to talk about this movie because it is interesting and weird.
It is very weird. Like, there are elements here that I would place more on the Grand Line, but this definitely does not take place on the Grand Line. I'm willing to say that, just because you can still place this within the anime canon. Harder to do in the manga canon, but easy to do in the anime canon.
Oh, what do you mean by that? I'm actually not super sure.
So this was released March 3rd, 2001, originally in Japan. So pretty much a year, almost to the day after the previous movie. And that puts it releasing between chapters 172 and 173 of the manga, which is when the Straw Hats were caught in Crocodile's cage while the rebellion began in Nanohana, and just before Sanji made his call on the transponder snail. So right around there was what was going on in the manga. But in the anime, it was between episodes 60 and 61, which is at basically right before the end of the Warship Island filler arc, which is just before they arrive on the Grand Line. And with the Warship Island filler arc, and I remember this pretty distinctly, pretty much goes right into them going up the reverse mountain.
Clever.
Yeah, it actually integrates it into it, so it's just all one big thing.
That is actually super cool.
Yeah. So this movie has to take place after they leave Logtown, but before the Warship Island, that filler arc.
Gotcha.
So, if you want it to make sense.
Yeah. You're going to get to a point where they just can't happen, by the way.
No.
They've pretty much, at this point, for the last, 4 or 5, they're just like, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
you know what? I appreciate it.
There's another thing I can't remember. It's like, is Vivi in any of these movies? Because she was part of the crew, and she obviously isn't part of this one, but is she part of the next one? Because she would be in the crew by the time of that next movie. We'll find out, but I honestly cannot remember.
Yeah, I've never seen the third movie, so I wouldn't know.
Well, we'll get to it when we get to it, but I remember that one being a little rough. So we'll see how that goes. But we have some interesting thoughts on this one, because we talked just a little bit, nothing like major, just little comments about, after watching this, I said I think it was a little better than the first movie, but you think it's a little worse. And I was like,
just a little bit. It's interesting where we'll get into maybe sort of how we're divided on that, but I don't know. I ended up liking this one okay. Just like the first one, which I liked okay. There's some things I like more and some things I like less in this one.
That's just fine. I think it makes it a little bit more interesting to see where we kind of divide on this, and what we kind of think. I will say I was sort of thrown off by the opening right off the bat, because
it opens really quick.
It's just right into it, and it's so quiet. It's just Luffy on this rock doing this windmill toy, and you just hear the clicking. It's like, wow, this is strangely somber. Of course, at the same time, we're also getting a look at a bikini-clad Nami. It's like, oh boy, the anime wasted no time.
That's actually my first, I think, kind of takeaway comment I'm going to mention about this is I don't know if you noticed how kind of different the art style is for this movie. It's because it's the character designer for this movie is a man named Eisaku Inoue, who has a long history at Toei, and he directs a few other later One Piece movies that are a little bit more infamous for maybe a little bit spicier here and there. Yeah, you know where I'm going with that comment. Yeah. And so I noticed it right away, because the way he draws Nami is she has this kind of wide-eyed, spaced out look that I've never been super into. But relative to maybe some of his latter work on One Piece, he is pretty restrained in this movie. You can definitely tell it's more. There's more fan service shots than the previous movie, but like compared to my expectations, I was like, oh no, this is gonna be. I was like, it's ended not quite that bad.
It's not over the top, to put it that way. It just threw me off. Like, it was like, this nice quiet moment with Luffy, and all of a sudden, bam, Bikini Nami.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Well, I did like how they subverted my expectations, because like right off the bat, like Sanji just like walks up and like undoes her top and starts applying sunscreen on her back, and I was like, whoa, okay. And then she's just like, if you peek, you're dead. And I'm like, okay, there's Nami.
Yeah, it was, okay. I was like, because man, just how quickly he did that. I was like, jeez.
Yeah, just kind of casually walks up. I'm like, wow, Sanji, how brave.
Yeah. I don't know. It just threw me for a loop. It's also kind of funny, again, plays in this movie. Like, they have this big declaration. It's off to the Grand Line. Let's take a vacation on this random island.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So you just can't worry about it too much, obviously. It's just, I will say, I like a lot of the faces in this.
Yeah.
There's some good,
very expressive.
Yes,
it's a very expressive movie.
I love some of the expressions in this movie.
Yeah, and not even just the expressions. Like as we'll get into, like a little later on with like that first fight scene. Like the animation is just bonkers. Like it is so zany and cartoony in a very like. It's a different vibe compared to even like the main anime or the manga, but like it does feel appropriately One Piece in sort of a different way.
Yeah, it felt higher budget in a way that the
certainly
typical TV series did not at this point.
Yeah, and even certainly over the first movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's some very smooth animations here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But we begin with Luffy just commenting, I love our ship. It's so beautiful. Love that flag. Not realizing it's actually being stolen.
Yeah, just so casually. It would be Luffy, of course, who's the one on watch, so to speak. And he's just like, oh, look at our ship. Just, yep. And I love how we jumped to that. Like, I think they comment that that was like a week ago.
Yeah, like, it's a week ago that they lost their ship and they were stranded. When I saw the poster for this one of them, like Nami and Sanji being in wedding outfits and Zoro and Usopp in other weird outfits, I'm like, what is that all about? I don't remember that at all.
Maybe this is sort of the tradition, because later One Piece movies, I think they start to have the Straw Hats change outfits multiple times per movie. Mm-hmm. And while everybody's kind of in the same outfit here, it is kind of like a funny, albeit somewhat flimsy, excuse to just kind of get people to just get them to dress up in whatever.
Except Luffy, we have to have Luffy in his iconic look.
Yeah, and it makes sense. He was the only one who wasn't on vacation mode.
That is true. That's true. I find it a pretty compelling opening with the Going Merry's just stolen by somebody.
Yeah,
Luffy actually can't reach it, and they're stuck with it for a week. Not being able to get
they gloss over it, but the fact that they had been stranded for a week basically is like, oh my god.
And it is just ridiculous that they had to. The only boat they could find was signing up for some sort of wedding service.
Yeah, they're all kind of cramped up on this little like duck thing.
And Luffy just at his post at his special seat, just in a smaller version.
Oh, this is I love this kind of stuff that is very, very sort of like putting these characters in these really kind of dumb and goofy situations.
Mm-hmm. But it's also, we also have them on the back foot. In a way, because
right off the bat,
Nami has no maps. Zoro doesn't have a sword. What shocked me is like, holy crap, he's missing it. He left his swords on that ship. I can't believe that. And Sanji doesn't have his shoes.
Not to spoil the movie or anything like that, but like they wait a while. they are kind of under-equipped for basically the whole movie, and I think it isn't something they emphasize a lot, but I do think it is cool to sort of see the like, all right, here's how the Straw Hats have to deal without having any of their stuff.
I find it compelling. It's a way to
for sure.
It's a unique way of putting them on the back foot.
Exactly.
And of course they immediately get tricked because this random kid is drowning in the water. Sanji goes after him and they get caught in a net.
Yeah. I've forgot the names of these characters. So like I tried to remember them so many times while watching this movie.
They are very odd names, but I wrote them down.
Okay, good.
Barode and Akis.
Yeah, oh man, it's just weird enough for me to not stick in my mind. I definitely like
I like Barode's design. He's the older brother.
He's really like he's got like kind of like a fighter pilot kind of like jacket going on here.
He looks like that main character from Power Stone.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right. It is really, really cool. I do think we are kind of 0-2 for like not annoying kid characters in these movies, but
yeah. Although I will say, I like Akis more than Tobio.
Yeah, there's a little more going on with him for sure.
Yeah.
I think they're very much like the audience, kid audience stand-in characters, but they try to do what they can with them, which is more than nothing.
Yeah. But we get them, they get their introduction. They're thieves, but they're not very good thieves because all they have in their stacks of treasure chests are rubble.
Yeah, that actually got me. I wasn't expecting that at all.
I forgot about that. But their real goal is the diamond clock on Clockwork Island, which of course Nami knows about.
Oh yeah, because
if it's a treasure, Nami knows it. So
yeah, she's after that money.
Yeah, that's their whole setup for what they're kind of out to do. We just get a nice little introduction, but then they start talking about, and the subtitles we have here call them the card pirates, but they're saying the Trump pirates.
Yeah, which is because we normally don't use that term to refer to playing cards, but that is sort of the blanket term in Japanese for playing cards is Trump, which when you start talking about things about them going to like Trump Castle and stuff like that, it's so unintentionally funny.
Yeah. Oh gosh. But yeah, it turns out that Clockwork Island has been taken over by these. All right, do we want to call them card pirates or Trump pirates? I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna stick to card pirates because I think it'll be distracting otherwise.
Yeah,
I will be giggling like a madman.
So yes, we have our card pirates, and they all have wanted posters. They don't show the bounties, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
but
walking into a landmine there.
Definitely going into that theme though, with the cards, because our members include, thanks to these wanted posters, Boojack, which just makes me think of BoJack. Honey Queen, Skunk One, and Pin Joker, and then the leader is Bear King.
Yeah. I really like all their designs, honestly. They're definitely like movie villain tier, but they're kind of unique and goofy in their own right.
Mm-hmm. So I immediately latched on to Skunk One because he's just Nigel Thornberry.
Oh, God. You ruined it.
Oh, yep. That'll do it.
God.
But that's when they find out, it's like, well, that Borod points out to him, like, they're the ones that stole the Going Merry, so you want your ship back, you got to go to them.
Yeah, we know we got a little motivation now.
Yep, now we have a reason to go to this island until the card pirates actually show up with Honey Queen bathing nude in the water. And you got to love this scene of just her over top of them, like on the mast where this bathtub is, just butt sticking out of the water. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's so incredibly shiny.
My dad puns are coming out, Brandon and I. I'm so sorry, but we're getting the honeymoon.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I appreciate a good dad pun.
Okay, there we go.
Well done.
But yeah, there she is, just hanging out. They just get this interaction between the two. And they take notice of Nami.
So there was one thing that I didn't think about. I'm sorry for moving ahead a little bit here, because she does get kidnapped, and I had kind of glossed over. It's like, was it like quite literally just because she was in like a bride outfit? Because Honey Queen takes notice of her, like there's something special about Nami, but I kind of quite literally think that's it. Unless I missed, I might have missed something. I zoned out.
It's either she's pretty or she's in the bride outfit. It doesn't quite matter in this case.
I certainly zoned out a few times during this movie and kind of lost some of the kind of character motivations that were happening here.
So I did not have that issue. I was actually kind of enjoying
mostly towards the end, I'll say.
Okay. I do like how Boojack has this, like, here's a riddle for you, and it's like, who's gonna be king of the pirates? And Luffy's just like, me.
Yeah. That is weirdly one thing that they don't. I feel like they don't really emphasize that that's sort of like his character gimmick, because they only do it a couple times.
Yeah, it's not really a big deal, but I don't know. We get into this, like, they waste no time getting into the action this time. We get these dynamic angles of them taking out these random guys.
Yeah, the fights in this movie are so crazy.
Oh, yeah.
They are having fun.
They're so much more dynamic than what we saw in the first movie. I love how Luffy immediately gives Nami the hat and
just straight up for.
And then we get this ridiculous escape from Usopp as he just paddles away.
Yeah, God, there's just like so much energy happening here. I do want to say, if maybe some more eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed, the style of like the action scenes here, I don't know who animated them off the top of my head, but they're very reverent towards like a very particular kind of animation style that was really popular in 70s and 80s anime. And the pioneer of that style was a man named Yoshinori Kanada. And his style is a lot of like really crazy poses. Like, it's like the transition between every like character's pose isn't smooth, so it looks like kind of jerky, but there's just enough in-betweens in there to make it look smooth. It's kind of hard to describe with just words, but the way that like the character motion works and the way you sort of like angular spikiness you see in the effects and stuff, I was like, I know that this person has like a reverence for that style. I think the modern equivalent would be kind of like Studio Trigger style.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like a cousin of like, if most people know what like Studio Trigger is known for, what is happening here in like these fight scenes is kind of like they're kind of cut from the same cloth, I guess I could say.
Okay. That makes sense. The few things that do happen along the way here is that as they're escaping, a special box falls out of Akisa's pocket or hand or whatever into the water. He bashes Usopp over the head to make him stop so he can go get it, which gives enough time for Bojack and Honey Queen to catch up to them and steal away Nami.
It's all the stupid kids' fault.
Yep. All the stupid kids' fault. Although it does lead to a joke that got me good, where it's just Honey Queen has Nami. She's thinking she just says she will please us in all thinkable ways, and they all go,
"Oh yeah!" And then there's like a pause.
There's just like a pause of nothing, and then they just attack him.
Yeah, it was just enough of an uncomfortable pause. Like, yeah, it was good. That was
just this random bomb. It's like, okay, that got me good.
Yeah.
I was honestly waiting for her to just say perverts.
Yeah, right. Like yeah. But just like the way this opening section is just so bonkers in the amount of things that happen in such a short amount of time, and that like this it's this part of the story I found to be really engaging for that reason. Like, it's just waste no time.
Yeah, it's a good setup up to this point, and as we're heading towards this island, thanks to Barad being able to read the winds very well, we get this flashback where this music box was the only thing that would comfort Akis, because it turns out Barad found him in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, what's this kid? Okay.
Moses style, just in the middle of the ocean with this music box.
Not the last Bible reference we'll see, by the way.
I'm trying to think of more, but okay.
Yeah. Everybody gets crucified.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the crucifixions.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. Get this kid's backstory, and then we come to actual Clockwork Island, which I gotta say that it is cool.
It is. It has a really, really cool design.
I saw this. I'm like, are we at Skypiea?
Right. I definitely think maybe one of the bits of this movie that did let me down a little bit is that they don't really explore that much of it, and the way they use the space ends up not really being kind of an emphasis. Which, I mean, there's not a whole lot of time for it, but I feel like there are sort of learning more about the space could have been a lot more interesting than what we ended up getting.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially for how cool it is.
Much time there. It has this super interesting design, and
they just I feel like they just kind of use it to get from like A to B, basically.
Right. Just like it looks a unique, but then we actually go to meet Bear King.
Yeah,
and got another huge design. He is so wide.
Yeah, he's extremely wide. I really like this guy's design. He's just like, he's weird and ugly, but it is just peak One Piece going on here.
Oh yeah, and I think the squareness of his shoulders kind of reminds me of Wapol in a way.
Yeah. And in terms of personality, he reminds me of a villain from a later One Piece movie. And actually, one of the later movies. I don't know if I want to spoil it for folks who haven't seen, but like one of the later movies, I think takes a lot from this one in hindsight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember, but we'll see as we get there.
Yeah.
By the way, as soon as I saw you took this island 7 years ago, I was like, well, this kid's from this island.
Yeah. See, I actually, for some reason, I hadn't put two and two together. I was too distracted by like the woman. Like, she looks like a Pokemon character. Like she
kind of does.
Her design is so out of place that it bothers me.
They're both kind of out of place. Like the designs of these people.
Yeah, like there's just kind of like normal like scientist jacket guy. I mean, like their hair is kind of dumb, but like
yeah. I mean, he looks like he looks like the guy looks like he's out of Astro Boy.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't quite work, and you're right. The girl kind of looks like kind of One Piece, not One Piece, but Pokemon-ish. I don't know,
yeah,
but yeah, they're just complaining about the fact that they don't want to make weapons anymore.
Yeah, this part's got like some of the really clunky exposition where they're like, you took this island 7 years ago, and it's like, oh well, we need the thing to do the thing, and it's like, okay, yeah.
And the reason Bear King has the control of this island because he has the ratchet key, which does something for this island, and we see this giant ratchet underneath glass, and it's like, oh okay.
You know what? Shout out though. I think this is when I like. We'll see in some shots later on, but like. This movie has some pretty like tasteful use of CG.
It does.
Yeah,
there was one shot in particular that made me realize it, but yeah, it actually uses the CG well.
To the point where it despite being 21 years old at this point, it's about at the same level as the movies now.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though again they use it in very limited shots, but like it is integrated well in a way that I was not expecting for a 2001 anime tie-in movie.
Right, and it holds its presentation well.
Yeah, for sure. It isn't distracting.
I love the look Nami gives Skunk One when he's like,
that's
a good look.
I was a little like, okay, here we like seeing Nami. Okay, she's kidnapped, and she doesn't do a whole lot in this movie, but I think. Despite my misgivings about that, like she kind of holds her own pretty well in these scenes.
Yeah, and it's her faces as well that really sold. Like the eyes popping, the suspicious face, like my eyes were glued to her because the expressions she has are so good.
They're so good, yeah. And you can kind of tell in like. Kind of like how in the last movie where she kind of, she broke the fourth wall and was like, well, the villains are really stupid. It feels kind of like that again where she kind of instantly takes note of the situation and just like how dumb these guys are and are already trying to play her way out of it. It's very in character.
And just the ridiculousn's like, I hate hairy men. I'll shave. And I hate weak men. Like, I'm strong.
He's trying.
Yeah, but you can't defeat Luffy. Like, who the hell's Luffy? So that's the whole reason. It's like, okay, so we just got to beat up this guy so you'll marry me. And that kind of becomes the whole running gag. And then we also get, speaking of running gags, what is his name? Pin Joker.
Pin Joker.
And he just gets all of his phrases wrong.
Yeah. And at least to the subtitles we're using here, I think kind of they get it across really well because it is some like really annoying Japanese wordplay going on here.
Oh, okay.
So they do their best in sort of getting across the equivalent. Like
I had a feeling it was probably pretty tricky, and they seem to do pretty good finding analogs to what it would be that would still make sense. So
yeah, exactly.
Decently done.
It gets a little old, but I like that he's annoyed every time he gets it wrong.
Yes, it's like
or like they have to stop to correct him, and he's just like, ugh.
He's like, I'm smart, I swear.
It's one thing to have a gimmick; it's another thing to be embarrassed by it. And I appreciate
to
that.
be bad at your gimmick.
I do sort of like the acknowledgement though, where like he's acknowledging that Luffy has 30 million on his head right now. Mm-hmm. The Bear King, and so he's just like, oh, this guy, this little runt, of 30 million.
Yeah, the funds will go to our wedding and stuff like that. It just But poor Barad dealing with the ridiculousness that is our three main characters who are like,
we
here's
now
the safe
have...
way to go. We'll just go through, and then we get these traps.
I did love that. Like, just not even one of them. It's all of them that are just kind of like, all right, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji just kind of all not caring. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Usopp too.
Yeah, Usopp trying to get there. Sanji getting to show off though, kicking these stones away, and then Zoro really showing off, flipping the whole damn thing. Like, my God.
There's some really fun and creative uses of the characters here.
Yeah.
The way that they all kind of get to show off and quite literally bounce off each other.
Mm-hmm. But this section's also a good explanation of like how like they don't really utilize it. We get that one scene of them avoiding the traps, and then we just see the impressive CG as we just get sound effects of them getting through the others, and then they're at the top of the island.
Yeah. I thought I missed something first time. I was like, wait, oh, they're at the top.
Yeah, and the top is cool. Like it's a cool mound, and I'm with Luffy being wow. It honestly kind of reminds me of some of the designs from Castle in the Sky.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's very, very Castle in the Sky. And I think at first blush I was like, there's like for how big this place is, there's like nobody here. I think the kind of implication is that like the entire like city's population is like working underground making weapons in the factory or something like that. It does kind of make me a little sad that we have such an interesting location that just kind of goes to waste.
Yeah, it's just nothing really to it, but there's the town that we get to see the card castle, and then at the top is somehow the Going Merry.
Where? How?
I guess especially the elevator mechanism, I guess. But geez, okay.
Yeah.
I like this also expression. There's some good foreshadowing with Barad here.
Yeah, like Zoro kind of he catches on to something a little bit.
Yeah. And with some of the comments that he makes, especially going back through a second time, it's like, okay. Because it's like, they're strong. I knew it. And it's like, aha.
Right, yeah. It's enough that there's more going on than you might think.
Poor Sanji has some bleeding feet because of kicking all those rocks.
Sanji gets the short end of the stick in this movie so hard.
He gets the short end of the stick a lot in just One Piece in general, it feels. And it happened once again.
Yeah.
But they do get some new threads once they get to the town and get some food. And I was thinking, oh, perfect. This is an opportunity for Sanji to get new shoes. And he doesn't get new shoes.
Well, I guess it's because they just like they can't quite cover the bill. So maybe they had to choose wisely. But I don't know. I think for someone like Sanji, I would have maybe chosen the shoes.
Yeah.
I do like Zoro's gangster drip though. He looks straight out of the Yakuza.
he has some good drip to him. I definitely appreciate it. And of course, they get taken in by this. They want to take a close look at, and sure enough, it's the people we saw earlier with Bear King. That's when we get our backstory of what this place was like before and what they were capable of, and the fact that they built the diamond clock to celebrate their child. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm completely missed like right over my head.
Oh my God!
I was just.
I knew exactly where. Like as soon as it's their kid. 7 years ago, celebrating our child. I was like, it's okay. It's their kid.
Yeah.
It's so freaking obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just kind of give them the stakes. It's like, okay, Bear King has the island where he's forcing us to make this super weapon, but he has the ratchet key, but we can't really do much to really stop it. And once again, we get Barad here saying, we got these guys here that help save the island. It's like, when do we agree to that?
Right, yeah.
He's just very much...
again, that close-up on Zoro where he's just like,
Yeah. I don't know about you.
Credit where it's due, like, he sells it pretty hard, I think, where, he's, like, we need your help.
I had to laugh at this line. It's like, oh, if you want to steal the clock, steal it, because Usopp was saying that's the only reason you want us to defeat the card pirates. It's like, yeah, if you want to steal the clock, go for it. We don't care. It only brings back painful memories. Well, behind her is a picture of the diamond clock.
Right. Yeah.
Make up your mind, woman.
Little things like that.
It does have some clunky moments like that, but I think the idea it gets around Luffy's sort of ethos here. It's like there's like you have no future if you die. It's like, well, you have no future if you run away, right? So let's go.
Yeah, which, hey, I mean, that's sort of like that just classic Luffy enthusiasm that I'm really glad that this movie is able to have of like, well, and they sort of tie it back into the ending as well, and of just like, okay, Luffy's sort of outlook on life having an effect on people is what I'm looking for here in a One Piece movie.
And we definitely get that. Again, Nami's effectively kidnapped during this, but the fact that she's fleecing them in poker.
Yeah, it was so good. Like, just one scene was all it took, and she is just like beating everybody at poker.
Taking them all, just completely confident and completely at ease. I don't know. It's just kind of wonderful.
Yeah, for sure.
I do think, despite her being kidnapped in this entire time, she just nails it.
Yeah.
It's like she's probably one of the most fun things to watch in this.
Yeah, and it's fun to sort of see the villains all just kind of hanging out, like, okay, you know, they're not like, they don't really have any reason to do anything right now, so yeah, they're all just hanging out.
Have this random living room setting nearby for him. I also like that Nami's like, if you don't have the money, you can pay with your body, and then she starts stripping.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
like, oh wait, what?
He's like, wait, whoa.
I'm kidding here. And that's when we learn that Honey Queen has a devil fruit, which I forget the Japanese. Let me take a quick look here, but I don't know if they ever actually say it.
They called it like they said the liquid fruit or something like that. There was kind of a like, I don't know, a little bit of a script flub there. Yeah, I don't know I didn't catch the proper Japanese name of the devil fruit.
Yeah, it's the Toro Toro no Mi, which I'm taking to mean the syrup fruit, which allows her to transform into basically a liquid.
Yeah.
Which also is why she has like the honey names, because she's sweet.
It makes sense.
There you go. But they're like, oh, they're coming? Well, let's go take care of them. So her and Bojack run down to take care of them. And that actually has Nami a little worried.
Yeah, it's fun the way that they, like, her kind of smack talk. It's like, all right, it's kind of put them in trouble here.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's at this point that it's kind of mainly action.
Yeah.
I think it's kept interesting with how it does it, because you still get little bits of character moments. Like, as they're flying towards it, Luffy notices that the windmill thing that he has is the same as the windmills around here. And more obvious clues that the Akis here is from this island, because he's able to whip out a screwdriver and just immediately fix it. So he has that natural talent. But again, it's very smooth animation. So that's
surprisingly, yeah, the way that he's just like kind of got like the screwdrivers weaved around his fingers, like, that's really complicated.
Oh yeah. It's pretty impressive, but yeah, the two of them show up and kind of wreak havoc. Although, in retrospect, it's kind of odd that this is Honey Queen's only fight.
Yeah,
despite having probably the devil fruit hardest to deal with.
Yeah, that definitely struck me as a little bit odd. Of just, she kind of, I feel like, ends up being like the comic relief villain after this point, where like she just kind of like stands there and commentates on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, despite kind of, I feel like, being the strongest one.
Right.
At least potentially.
Kind of takes them all out. And again, poor Sanji, spiked ball through the foot as he tries to kick it.
Oh, I winced.
Oh, yeah. And then face down into the minefield below them.
Yeah, just completely eats it.
Oh, yeah. And then just explodes. Man. It's like, jeez. Yeah. And then they just tossed him into there. It's like,
yeah,
like, oh my God. And then the bleeding. I will say another thing. This movie is surprisingly bloody.
Yeah, I feel like it really is just like Sanji's feet that bear the worst brunt of it. But yeah, man, like, that landing, he just like lands on his neck. Like, ow. Oh,
yeah, it's oof.
It's cartoonishly painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that hard cut to him getting just yeeted next to Nami. Just like, what? Like, well, all right, one down.
Well, yeah, one down. It's begun. And poor Sanji's the first one to get taken out.
Yeah.
And then randomly, Barad lost a glove and reveals he has a mechanical arm. Okay. Yeah, apparently, Akis built him a mechanical arm. I don't know. It seems kind of pointless, but I guess it's to build up this conflict between Usopp and Akis. Like, you're bragging because he saves you all the time?
Oh, yeah. I did like that call out. Like, that it's Usopp is the one.
Yeah.
I feel
like he's the one kind of offended. It's like, how I hate brats who think they'll always be saved. It's like,
yeah.
It feels a little odd coming from Usopp, but yeah, it works.
I don't like Akiz that much, so I'm glad for Usopp kind of calling him out. I do really like Luffy has these sort of introspective scenes here throughout the movie where he's sort of like thinking about Shanks. It's a small touch that I think kind of it connects back enough to like sort of what Luffy's thinking about without him having to outright say it.
I agreed. You have that little connection there. But they burst in and are fighting these hordes of guys again. And Zoro's all about it. He just starts tossing them in the air, grabs a sword, and starts cutting fools down.
He's been just itching to go. I love the fact that he stole a sword from somebody. But God, these crowd shots are so complicated. The animation team just went crazy on this stuff.
It's really impressive at times. But while this whole fight's going on, we get a cameo. Denny, and Donnie are there. You can see them in places before in sort of background situations. But they've left they left El Drago's pirates and have joined up with the Card Pirates, and they're all excited because they're introducing the King Cannon.
I love that there is this kind of. I feel like they're building this like movie continuity almost.
Yeah,
and it's just in a really small and silly way, and I don't know how long it lasts, but yeah, it's a fun little nod.
I enjoyed it. Then Bear King gets a little jealous of Sanji, who's pouring his heart out. He's like, I wanted to save Nami all by myself, and then be hugged by you as thanks, and does all these like convulsions, and then he goes into followed by this and that. I'm like, that's a little far for Sanji.
Yeah. I do love the Bear King's kind of like, who the hell are you? And then he's like, I'm the one who rubs lotion on her back. Like, oh that burn.
Yeah, man, he'll need some lotion too. But yeah, just that burn is like, oh, it's time to crucify this guy.
Yeah.
And then Sanji bounces when he gets thrown.
God, this animation is just so lively. Even again, Sanji's just getting the crap beat out of him.
I know. I felt
it makes me feel so bad. And he sticks on the wall and falls flat and just gets stepped on. Like I don't know. Like if it wasn't for a scene later, I'd feel like they'd have it really out for Sanji in this movie.
Yeah. But again, the bloody part I was talking about before is freaking Zoro just cutting through these guys and seeing the blood splatter. It's like, geez.
Yeah, maybe I feel like the anime has always been surprisingly bloody, but I feel like they might be able to get away with a little more being a movie and all that.
Then we get the confrontation with Skunk One, who, uses fart power to fly and has devil's gas. It's not devil fruit power; it's just his own gas.
I'm surprised it wasn't a devil fruit power, but okay.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not a fart joke person typically, so this kind of did nothing for me. But
oh yeah, same. It's like Luffy and Zoro are immediately like, oh, I'm just, I don't feel like doing anything because it kind of weakens them. But good on this because Skunk One does allow for Usopp to get some great hero moments.
He really does. Like Usopp just goes for it, like Leroy Jenkins style. Grabs
on, puts his mouth over the thing. You see his belly distending and all that. It's like, oh god, poor Usopp.
I was wondering if they were gonna do something like, well, Usopp's got a long nose, so he's particularly sensitive to the farts, or something like that. But that wasn't the route that they took. But
the opposite of the Krillin joke from Dragon Ball.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bear King keeps getting jealous and keeps crucifying him, so they bring Usopp back, and he gets crucified too. And poor Nami just trying to resist, but nothing's really happening here. So
I'm thinking way too much into this, but I sort of like the idea of the villain having kind of jealousy issues, and that just like he is so far above everybody that he doesn't have real relationships beyond the people who kiss his ass. So it's,
you can kind of see that.
He's just like, I'm jealous of you and your Nakama, Nami.
Yeah, how dare you?
It's kind of how it reads to me. It's not at all like.
Oh yeah, it probably isn't that in depth or anything like that.
It's not that deep, but it's funny to think about.
But we're down to just 2 of the crew, and like I said, I find this pretty interesting to just have the crew getting picked off one by one.
Yeah, it is a really interesting to see. Like it maybe doesn't escalate like as quickly as I maybe would, or doesn't escalate as naturally as I would have wanted. But I definitely like once it's down to just Luffy and Zoro, you really start to see him struggle.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Taken out along the way, and then this trap, I will say this trap is hell because they're about to get crushed. Zoro and Luffy are holding it up because it's just that heavy, which they're about to get crushed.
Although I think the scene lasts a little bit too long for me to really feel the tension.
Yeah,
especially when like they're barely holding on, but you sort of get like characters move around and they swap places, and it's like, well, if they're struggling to hold it up, like the second that either of them let go, they would just die.
Yeah, they make it seem like that, and it's just. You're right. It does last a little too long, but it does lead to probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm willing to give it at least a little bit of a pass.
Yeah,
but
it bothers me a little bit, not a lot.
Right. But this also leads to the reveal that Barad is the one who actually stole their ship, made the trade with the Card Pirates to learn all the ins and outs of the island, specifically because he wanted them to help.
Yeah, it's sort of an interesting twist where I feel like a lot of these movie OC characters, you kind of the twists end up seeing they end up seeming fairly like pedestrian, but I don't know, I'm kind of into the idea that like he deceived them, but like for like to ultimately do a good thing.
He's trying to get this kid back to his hometown because this is his island, and he's like, well, I thought you were strong enough to take him, but you're not, so I'm gonna just go take him on myself to help this kid because I care about him that much.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. And then Pin Joker shows up. Is like, you remember me, Zoro? You're the one who gave me this scar on my face. And Zoro's like, I don't know you.
I do love the implication. And I mean, like, as Zoro was a bounty hunter, so he would have beef with a lot of people. But yeah, I love them leaning on that a little bit.
And it's...
Or just even, like, Zoro saying, like, I can't remember every weakling I beat. And Luffy's just like, yeah!
But then we get these feather darts, these poison darts, and Zoro taking the hits in order to protect Luffy, and leaving Luffy to hold it up by himself. It's enough to make him pass out, and well, he actually goes to fight in this state, but gets poked for it, like with the rapier from Pin Joker.
Yeah.
And that's it. Zoro's actually kidnapped, although he does correct him before he passes out, which I think is pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. Like he just can't get away with it.
No, nobody will let it happen. So yeah, all three of them are crucified now. That's just the way it is.
Again, just why the crucifixion? It is such an odd little element to this movie.
I don't know, but I guess they're good targets because the King Cannon is finished and he's going to test it out by shooting it at these three, which seems a little excessive.
But like, you know what? Bear King's exceedingly petty, so I think I'll allow it.
Yeah. But Nami finally outright says, "I'm not marrying you. I'd rather die with them."
I love the kick to the head.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So he's like, "All right, fine, like, go die."
Once he gets a little too touchy, she's just like, "Nah." So I appreciate that a whole lot.
She's put there. Keith finally wakes up, and Luffy's like, "Hey, help me!" He's like, "Oh no, I gotta go help Barad." He's like, "No, what are you doing? Why are you leaving me here?"
Well, yeah, but like I don't know what help he would have been to Luffy at that point, but
yeah, true. But poor Luffy.
Stuck
holding up this thing
left
for how
alone.
long?
Yeah.
The King Cannon's being charged up when all of a sudden up comes a Barad who has dynamite strapped all to his chest, ready to blow himself up in order to take him out.
I got pretty hyped at this. I'm a little sad that it didn't. I mean, he knew it wasn't going to go. He wasn't going to kill himself, but I was definitely caught off guard. But like, whoa, okay, he's packing heat.
Yeah, but this is also a brutal beatdown. Like, my God.
Oh yeah, like the way that he's like getting punched through like the just like massive metal wall behind him.
Yeah, he's like making indentations over and over again. It is like for a normal character, that is just devastating.
Yeah, and the way that the scene lasts a while, like, oh man, the Bear King gives him like a good headbutt, and it's just, he is brutalized.
And they don't show much of it. I think that makes it more effective because you just imagine it at that point.
Yeah, it's rough. And then, of course, the Joker guy is just like a cloth to a flame, and I'm like, you ruined whatever tension the scene had with your stupid gimmick.
Yeah,
it's fun again to see a character kind of on their last legs and using it to correct his stupid joke.
Yeah. But then Akis tries to save Barad, and Pin Joker, of course, beats him down, which causes the windmill thing that he had, that was Luffy's, to fall in front of Luffy and break. And this indicates that Luffy's like, I'm needed, and just starts lifting up, and you see floor after floor after floor go up through.
It's kind of like Arlong Park in reverse, but it's pretty hype. I
was getting chills. I'm like, yes, these are the Luffy moments I live for.
Yeah, he unlike Arlong Park, he is actively working against gravity.
Yes.
Yeah,
it is so fantastic. It's just seeing that. I would call that the most hype moment of the movie.
For sure.
But Luffy also does something stupid and lights some of the dynamite and blows up his friends.
I kind of this is maybe where the movie lost me a little bit. It's funny, but it is a bit contrived.
Yeah,
like that they couldn't figure out a way to kind of get them uncrucified. So it was just kind of like Luffy being, "Oh, what's this thing? Oh, what's this thing?" And it's a little dumb to me.
It plays on the Luffy stupidity a bit, but it kind of works. I don't know. But yeah, it's time for our big fights.
Yeah. Oh, I do appreciate that they give the fights a lot of time in this movie, or at least it felt like it compared to the first one. Like I mean, we'd been talking about the animation for this whole podcast episode, but like the way that they let these fights breathe just a bit is, I don't know. It's what I live for, is seeing these characters kind of get their own moments in a way that they maybe wouldn't in canon.
Yeah, it's a nice step up too from last one because the fights were just nothing in that. This has a much better flow, works so much better. And yeah, Usopp gets shoes to Sanji, gets his own slingshot. I love he fires the rotten egg into Skunk One, and he's like, I hate stinkers.
Yeah, it's just a fun little bit of irony.
And then, of course, gets the swords to Zoro. All the fights are kind of happening concurrently. And Luffy versus Bear King. Bear King also has a devil fruit. He says his body is made of steel, but it's not literal. His actual name is the Kachi Kachi no Mi.
Okay, so it's like he's just. I was going to say hard is the only word that came to mind.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say
that's
hard.
Exactly what it is. Yeah. It's the hard fruit. Yep. So yep. That's our two movie exclusive ones.
That explains his motivation for the whole movie. He's the hard man.
Totally does. Getting away from that is like, oh, that's a thing. And then Sanji's beatdown of
this is my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh, it's so good.
And so I actually looked into it to see some of the animation staff on this movie. And the animator of the Sanji fight is he's a guy named Sushio, who mostly, again, kind of bringing back the Trigger connection. So he mostly he's freelance and works on Gainax and Trigger shows. He's the character designer for Kill la Kill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I think he shows up in some other One Piece movies, I think, but yeah, just sort of like, I don't know, that Sanji bit finally, particularly for Sanji, because he has just gotten completely crapped on this whole movie, and to see him just completely own Spikeball Guy now that he has shoes is it's so good.
Just dismantle him. Then we get Zoro just looking even more boss with him ripping off the sleeves, tying the sash around, finding a way to
that's gangster.
Oh, it's like, holy crap, Zoro.
Yeah.
But then we also get Usopp with a full-on fight against Skunk One, where he just completely wipes him out. Just kicks his ass.
He might be dead.
He might be.
Yeah, and I really liked just the way that he plays into being super scared. I love the expressions, and then just Usopp, using his personality as the scared guy, and just goes like, fooled ya. It's a simple little thing, but it's awesome.
You love to see it. It's because you don't see Usopp get full on fights too often.
He feels really confident in this movie for some reason.
Yeah, I like it. I do like it.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot.
And of course, we finally get the fight between Zoro and Pin Joker. And, you know, it's fine.
Yeah. I probably about the same as the last movie.
Yeah.
That's pretty straightforward.
I mean, it's cool that he reflects the pins back at him, but that's about it.
Yeah. Just the animation in these fights is just so good.
Oh, the animation definitely carries it.
Yeah, it really, really does. But you know what? That's what these movies are for, so I'm into it.
Yeah. And there are some fun bits with the preamble for Luffy's fight where he's trying to, like, use the whip on Bear King, and it just sort of wraps around it because of the hard fruit.
Yeah, I like Luffy. Yeah, like he's kind of slowly trying to figure out how to deal with this guy. It makes for some kind of creative uses of his tool set, which I think is sort of what puts Luffy maybe above the other characters in this movie. But which I don't know, that feels appropriate.
Yeah.
His fight's a little more fleshed out.
Sanji's a beatdown, Zoro's a beatdown, Usopp gets the shine, and basically a beatdown. But I also love how this freaks out. Like, actually, I don't love. This is, like, come on. Honey Queen freaks out seeing the other three defeated so quickly and easily that she decides, like, nope, I'm out of here, and goes into her tube.
I like that Nami just busts out the tape out of, like, it's kind of dumb, fun cartooniness, but yeah, They had no idea what to do with her.
No, they didn't. But again, we get some good Nami faces as she's putting the tape on. Like those,
yeah.
Those are the parts that work. But
it's so expressive.
Honey Queen could have done something more, but I wish.
Yeah, underwhelming.
Yeah. Oh well. But man, some dynamic fight scenes with.
Oh my goodness,
Luffy and Bear King. It's
yes,
good stuff there.
They're like flying through the air, all of, like the camera angles and stuff, and just like the shading gets super intense on them. It is wonderful.
Blown away by it at some points. Like this movie can be downright gorgeous at points, and I definitely enjoyed that. He pulls out somehow this melting fist thing that he can do.
I thought it was the other arm. I don't know.
I don't know, but he's burning the heck out of Luffy.
Yeah, I got a little confused at this point, but like I guess I don't know. Is that his devil fruit power or the cyborg arm thing that I don't know.
I think it's his devil fruit power.
It is definitely like the least amount of explanation.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I can sort of respect that this movie at this point knows what it is and doesn't really bog itself down with kind of details like that. It's just like, okay, he can just do this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're in fight mode and just kind of the story's on pause.
we're just going to go for it. But Barad trying to take out Bear King with his own King Cannon, but he misses because he just stupidly decided to shout out his name.
Yeah.
And then Aki's taking a bullet for Barad, which sends him flying out the window. Like, my God.
Jeez, man.
What a bullet.
Light as a feather.
And, of course, that services to just piss off Luffy. It's like, especially when it's like, you pathetic weak kid. He's like, no, he's not weak, and he's a real man now. And Luffy just takes on the heat and starts just slamming him around. Like, yep, there's Luffy we know and love.
Yeah, this finale does feel like for like a proper early One Piece finale. You know, at least sort of like how the set piece is. It does remind me a lot of like Arlong and Don Krieg and stuff like that.
They're definitely taking inspiration from that because he is just dismantling this place.
Yeah, exactly. It is, as much as I lament that we didn't get to see more of it, it is cool to see this place get like more and more destroyed as the fight goes on.
Also, we get the weirdest animation for Bear King basically panicking using the King Cannon on Luffy, but Luffy reflects it with the Gum slingshot, but his body goes in just to like a silly putty mode almost.
Yeah.
Like it is wacky looking.
Yeah, the definitely full on cartoon mode. Is the Gum slingshot, is that wasn't from the manga, right? Like that's new for this movie?
I think that's new for this movie.
Okay, I thought so.
He sends it back into him, and that's pretty much it. The whole thing cracks, and Luffy ends up destroying the island.
Womp womp.
Like, he saved these people. Like, they're all concerned. It's like, you don't want to do anything to me, or else I have the ratchet key. And all the people are like, island's coming down. Get your parachutes. We're out of here.
Right. There's something a little ridiculous about, like, this one key kind of holding it all together, and that something like this could just like, this is like an emergency that everybody is prepared for. It's like, all right, time to die.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, I guess we're out of here.
I don't know. It's a, you know what? It's a bit much. Again, like I said, by this point the movie, I was kind of like, all right, we're wrapping up here.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Bear King is dead at this point because he just got slammed, or maybe he has a hard
heard from again.
He's definitely been defeated, so it's sort of whatever. But the island is coming down. Akis is fine because he pulled the trick from Back to the Future Part 3. Has a little steel plate there. And then they hear the sound of the diamond clock ringing. And it turns out it's the same sound as the music box. Which, hey, confirms that this Akis is the kid of, these two parents. What a shocker.
Yeah, I don't know. It's treated like, this part feels like such an afterthought. Like, despite all of the build-up and all of sort of like the foreshadowing, like the way that they just kind of like, it feels like all the resolution of this movie is like a 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, it's just,
we had no choice. We had to put him in the water, and we just had the hope, and give him this music box, and this is for him, and quickly get this all out because that clock is falling, and the island is literally being destroyed right now.
It really feels like all of this movie happens at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
Just the pacing, particularly in those spots, is just like, and in the beginning it's fun because you're just like, oh my god, what is happening? This is crazy. But by the end here, I'm just kind of like, there were so many things that they had to resolve, and that they just went like, the movie was clearly more concerned with giving everybody really cool fights. Which you know what? Hey, everybody got cool fights, but yeah.
Right. I mean, the parachuting thing I'll give you, but I mean, I called the whole parentage thing right off the bat, so it's like that was not a surprise to me. That didn't feel like wrap up. It's just like, oh, the characters realize it now, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
Again, the shocking part to me is like, Luffy did not save this island. He saved the people, but that island got messed up.
He ruined our home, and he just kind of gets away with it.
Yeah, but there's also no tension that they're not going to make it, because they just like, everybody parachutes. Even the Mary's able to parachute away somehow quickly.
It's weird in that it is like a movie that is not really like about the setting or about the people, but they kind of want you to think it is.
Yeah.
So
I guess you're right.
By the end, by the end here, I was like, okay, everybody's fine, but like whether they were fine or not, I don't really care at like the 50-minute mark of a 55-minute movie.
I mean, we're about as involved in this as Luffy and the crew is. It's like, we've got roped into this, so like, all right, well,
pretty much, yeah.
We kind of care about you, but we just want our stuff back.
It feels that way, yeah. And I think that is sort of the magic for me with the first movie, is that simplicity, and this one feels like it struggles with its time limit a little bit.
I could definitely see that, because for the rest of the movie, it's basically kid reunites with mom, has a nice hug out, but still wants to travel around with Barad, so they go in their separate ways, and they're the end.
Yeah. And just, man, I don't know, the weird, like, they have this heartfelt reunion, and the kid is immediately like, bye.
Yeah.
I'm
out of here.
Yeah. It's just like, all of those emotions you just tried to help me feel is just like completely subverted. Like, oh, all right, you know what? Sure. Okay.
Yeah. I'll give you
he's
that
like,
one.
I'm with my real family. But then like my real parents just like, their house just blew up, and I'm gone. Just like,
it's interesting because these first two movies, as we're talking about it, they seem like two sides of the same coin. One is pretty good on character development, but not so great. Honestly, pretty terrible at action. But the other one is great on action, not so great on character development. Both have pretty good humor.
Yeah, for sure.
And nail the characters pretty well. But I find the scenario of movie 2 more interesting. I think that's why I kind of prefer it over movie 1.
I'll agree with you there.
The only reason is because they're movie characters. We know they don't matter.
Yeah, I think this movie certainly embraces that sort of like baseline expectation that they don't matter, and just kind of doesn't. I don't want to say they don't try, but you can tell this movie has different priorities, and so I think it does kind of come down to like, sort of which version of this do you prefer? Is sort of like the storytelling side or the action side? And I love One Piece for both, and these movies feel like they're kind of split on one side or the other.
Yeah, I Bear King I think is a more compelling villain. Just because you get a bit more with him thanks to Nami. He has that fun. He's definitely more of a challenge for Luffy. But yeah, that's all it really comes down to. It's fine. Like if I think I gave movie 1 a 6 out of 10. I'd put this 6.5, 7.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'd probably go the opposite. Like, yeah, if the first one I would agree is a 6, and this one's like a 5.5.
Yeah,
or
I figured that's how it would be, just slightly ahead or slightly below based on between the two of us.
Even reasonably, I think if I couldn't choose decimals, I would give both a 6. They're close enough that I'm not too bothered by it. Like the distinction is a little negligible,
right?
But though, like, because I've got like the credits playing here on my end, I really love like them using the movie's art style to show like these different bits of the Alabasta arc.
Oh, I literally got like emotional watching it because I love the Believe opening.
Yeah,
that's really cool seeing all these characters in this art style. Although the walking animation is terrible.
The walking animation not so much, but like the bit after where they're sort of like, here's all of like the villains and characters you'll see in the upcoming arc and stuff. Like
also El Drago cool. For some reason, like
again movie continuity.
Yeah, but then them just showing like here's the red line, here's them going up, and here's all these characters that you're aware of. Oh God, I just noticed Karoo looks awful. Oh, go to 5351.
All right, let's see here.
He is horrifying.
Oh, gee. What happened? I was too busy focusing on, like, I was like, oh, Vivi kind of looks good at this style. I didn't even notice Karoo was there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
He's like a malformed chocobo. Oh, God.
I mean, like, you're asking sort of like the movie staff here to like give like your best first drawing for all of these characters. So I'm not too like, hey, it happens. Yeah. And like,
and some of them are pretty good. I love like showing all these characters we're building up to from across this. It's like, it's a good setup.
And like Robin has like a really weird kind of color scheme here at the end. She's not as tan as she is in the anime, which they would that change doesn't last. But like just like even like her outfit, like it's just like there's sort of a weird desaturation filter on her almost. It's cool. I don't know.
I like seeing the style, but it's also fun to just see the changes. Like
it's like
you got Tashigi, you got Smoker, you just I don't know. They got even a preview of Ace.
Yeah, so the anime was, you said, right after they were like getting to the Grand Line, right?
Yes, they were basically right before they're arriving on the Grand Line.
So they're basically like working with like black and white manga pages here.
Yeah.
So I can like in context. Oh man, yeah. Seeing that sort of like, here's a preview of like the next year or two's worth of animation material is really neat. Honestly,
which is manga readers, like which we are basically at this point.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. It's like that's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool in context, and that is something. Again, having watched Film Red last weekend, like they're still doing that.
Nice, I like it.
Oh man, this was a long discussion. We had a lot to say.
We did have a lot to say about them because we do. I feel like we got to kind of cover the plot to some degree, going over stuff, just because not everybody's able to watch this. So
yeah. I hope I had this thought after we had talked about the last movie. It was like, that is probably the most in-depth discussion that exists on the internet about that movie, and probably this one too.
Probably.
Yeah. And I sort of appreciate getting to podcast about this stuff in that context. Just like these movies are kind of long and forgotten, which makes it fun to talk about.
I agree. I like that we added the movies in. It adds an interesting journey to the whole thing.
This was a fun discussion. So yeah. Again, I'm glad. I had never seen this movie. I'd never seen the first movie. So it is good to expand my knowledge of One Piece in that way.
Right. I if I remember correctly, I think it's with movie 4 that we get a truly good One Piece movie.
Yeah. That much I've only seen it once, but I liked it back then.
Yeah. That's a ways off. But with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about One Piece Clockwork Island Adventure. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube or BitNerd with an _ at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. Not a whole lot interested to talk about now. Just, still working on Dragon Ball is seemingly coming back soon. So I don't know. Look forward to that. Yeah, I'm still working on this Naruto spinoff. Still having a good time.
Yeah, that's all good. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss the third One Piece movie and the final of this set before we return to the manga, One Piece Chopper's Kingdom on the Island of Strange Animals. That is a mouthful. No. This one's going to be something, from my memory. That's all I got. That's all I'll say for now. But until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
前提に交際しよう。あら、一目惚れってわけ。でも私毛深い男は嫌いなのよね。いくらでもそっちゃうぜ。それに弱い男も嫌いなの。俺様は強いぜ。でもルフィたちには勝てないでしょ。ルフィ